Hey, my name is Ryan Earnhardt from CreativeSoundLab.tv, where audio recording is an art form. Well, this technique is nothing short of an art form. It is one of the most debated topics, and I really, in preparation for the next couple of episodes, I really came across this idea that I could try to create an exact replica of the reference that I used for last week's video. This is just one instance that Glyn Johns himself set up his own technique. We're going to be looking at a screenshot of the video, really just comparing the angles, taking out any sort of influence that I may have as an engineer of what looks right, and really trying to replicate it as authentically as possible. Last week's video, I made a reference at the very end about how the floor tom's kind of weak, and I had kind of a spin on the Glyn Johns, and I got some comments that, oh, it's actually pretty strong, or it's even loud. Yeah, you're right. It was kind of loud, and I think that I might have actually tried to fix the Glyn Johns setup as I was setting it up, and I kind of self-sabotaged the example. So this here will hopefully serve as a new starting point for the series. Let's take a screenshot of the video that I referenced and try to really replicate every little detail. This mic here is much higher than I thought it would be. If this is true, okay, this is just one example, but if this is true, this could be very different from the way that I would typically set this up intuitively. So let's see how this sounds. Hopefully this will be as authentic as possible. I have no idea what this is going to sound like. Let's check it out.
Tell me, love, is this where we end? With me drunk on the street again, laughing all the way to the bar. Tell me, love.
Okay, so those were the results. I thought it sounded actually really cool. It sounded really vibey. It sounded very clean on the low end. There wasn't too much mud, but it was pretty phasey. It was just phasey as hell. I thought that the low end from the floor tom was true to where it was located on the left side of the screen, but the high end of the floor tom was picked up better from the overhead top microphone. Really weird. It's almost like the floor tom wasn't really completely on one side or the other. If you listen to the high tom, go back and rewind it, it's very well centered, it's very well spoken, it has nice low end, it's much more cohesive. But that low floor tom is a mess. And then on top of it, you have the cymbal rocking issue, which I said a couple years ago in my original episode. Every time that the cymbal rocks, there is a kind of a dip in volume as the cymbal edge points right at that microphone. There's a little bit dip in volume. And with the consistent sound that the top mic is getting and the inconsistent sound of that side mic is getting, all of a sudden there's a little bit of a shift in where that cymbal is located in the stereo image. And it creates a little bit of a kind of a swirly sound in the cymbals. It's part of the vibe, but it can also sound like a mess to some other engineers. So between the floor tom sounding like the high end is clear on the right, but the low end is fuller on the left, and then the cymbal wash phase that's happening back and forth, it's okay. This whole technique is just okay. Finally, the snare drum. The snare drum, I think, is just as much of a mess. You have it kind of jumping to one side. Compression seems to only make it worse. We can see upon my measurements what this really is. Like I said, I'm just trying to replicate this exactly to the picture that I had And this is just one instance of Glyn Johns setting this up. It wasn't a real session. This was just a workshop, so take this with a grain of salt. But what I'm really trying to do is sift through all the noise as far as what's closest to his real technique and really give it a shot, and let's really see what it sounds like. And this was kind of my best attempts at that. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Love to hear your thoughts. I put the measurements up, I put the angles, really everything about this. I've tried to really just kind of geek out on this. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll see you next video.